My twin sister texted at 6:47 p.m., 13 minutes before our dinner. Emergency. Can't make the date tonight. Please go in my place. I'm begging you. His name is Luca Romano. Rooftop bar on Madison, 8 p.m. I'll explain everything later. Please, Liv, I need this. I stared at my phone. My stomach sank. Emma never begged. Emma was the confident one, the social one. She was the twin who'd never met a situation she couldn't charm her way through. And she was asking me, awkward, bookish Olivia, to impersonate her on a blind date? I should have said no. I should have called her back, demanded an explanation, told her she was insane. But Emma was my twin. My other half, and I'd never been able to say no to her. At 7:53 p.m., I stood at my bathroom mirror in her favorite red dress, practicing her confident smile, head tilt, and bright laugh, nothing like my quieter humor. You're Emma tonight, I whispered to my reflection, anxiety warring with determination. Confident, outgoing, not afraid of anything. But the lie tasted bitter, heavy with guilt and fear. But I'd promised. I had no idea that in 2 hours my entire life would be turned inside out. That the man waiting for me at that rooftop bar already knew every secret I was trying to hide. And that my sister hadn't just asked me to cover for her on a date. She'd sent me into a trap. The rooftop bar was precisely the kind of place Emma loved and I avoided. Sleek glass and polished chrome everywhere. The city spread below like a carpet of lights. I clutched my phone in my sweating palm. Emma's instructions glowed on the screen. A script I hadn't memorized well enough. Corner table. He'll be wearing a dark suit with tall dark hair. Don't mention work. Don't mention Mom's illness. Laugh at his jokes. Order a martini, not wine. And for God's sake, don't tell him you're not me. The last instruction felt like a warning. I spotted him immediately. He sat at a corner table, his back to the wall. Later, I'd learned this habit came from years of watching for threats. Dark suit, dark hair, just long enough to suggest he didn't care much about rules. He was handsome. My breath caught, all sharp angles and quiet power. He stood as I approached, movements fluid and controlled. His assessing gaze made me fear he could see I wasn't Emma, just an imposter in a borrowed dress, lost in a role. Emma, he said, his voice low and smooth. I'm glad you came. I forced Emma's bright smile. Wouldn't miss it, though I have to admit, blind dates aren't usually my thing. Mine either. He pulled out my chair, and I caught the scent of expensive cologne and something darker, more dangerous. But your message intrigued me. My heart skipped. Emma's message. The one I hadn't seen. What had she told him? I arranged the dress, trying to mimic Emma's grace and confidence. I'm glad. I wasn't sure you'd agree to meet. His smile was slow and didn't quite reach his eyes. When a beautiful woman says she has information I need, I pay attention. Information. The word sent ice down my spine. What information? What had Emma gotten herself into? I ordered a martini as instructed, though I disliked them. Luca ordered whiskey, his gaze fixed on me. So, he said, leaning back in his chair with the ease of someone who owned every room he entered. Tell me about this information. Your message was cryptic. I had no idea what Emma's message had said. I was flying blind, improvising. I desperately hoped I wouldn't say something that would give me away. I wanted to meet you first, I said, trying for Emma's confident tone. Make sure you were someone I could trust. Trust. He tasted the word like wine. I flinched. Interesting, coming from someone who won't even use her real name online. My blood ran cold. Real name? Had Emma been using a fake name? Why? I forced a laugh. Can't be too careful these days. No, he agreed, his eyes sharp. You can't. Our drinks arrived. I sipped the martini, suppressing a grimace at its sharpness. Luca watched me with an intensity that prickled my skin. You seem nervous, he observed. Just being careful. Like you said, He studied me for a long moment. You're not what I expected. My heart hammered. Had I already slipped up? Oh, what did you expect? Someone harder, more calculating, he said. You seem softer than your messages. Because I'm not her, I wanted to scream. I'm pretending to be my sister. I have no idea what I'm doing, or what she's gotten us into. Instead, I smiled. People contain multitudes. They do. He took a sip of his whiskey. So let's talk about why you're really here, Emma. Or should I call you by your real name? The question felt like a trap. I had no idea what he meant. Emma is my real name. Is it? His smile was sharp as a knife. Because that's not what my research suggests. Research. The word hung between us like smoke. Who was this man? What kind of blind date required research? I was utterly out of my depth. I don't know what you mean, I said carefully. Luca leaned forward, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Let me be clear. I don't appreciate being lied to. I don't appreciate games. And I especially don't appreciate when someone claims to have information about my business and then shows up playing pretend. I'm not... You contacted me 3 days ago, he interrupted, his tone harder now. You said you had evidence of who was skimming from my shipments. You said you could identify the mole in my organization. You said you'd give me names in exchange for protection. Shock jolted through me. Oh God, what had Emma done? And now you're sitting here, Luca continued, his eyes cold, pretending you don't know what I'm talking about. So either you're having second thoughts about our arrangement or... He paused, his gaze sharpening. Or you're not who you claim to be. I couldn't breathe. The rooftop bar suddenly felt too small, too exposed. I needed to leave. I needed to call Emma. I needed to... You're right, I heard myself say. I'm not Emma. The words dropped like stones in water. Luca went very still. Excuse me? I'm her twin sister, Olivia. The truth spilled out before I could stop it. Emma asked me to come tonight. She said it was just a blind date, that she was nervous. She didn't tell me about any information or arrangements or... I gestured helplessly. Any of this. For a long moment, Luca just stared at me. Then slowly, he started to laugh. A dark, dangerous sound that made every instinct scream at me to run. A twin, he said finally. She sent her twin sister to a meeting with Luca Romano, and didn't tell you who I was or what she'd gotten herself into. Who are you? I whispered, though some part of me already knew the answer. Already understood why this man commanded a corner table, why his smile never reached his eyes, why the staff here moved around him like water around stone. I run things in this city, Luca said. Things your sister would have been smart to stay away from. And now it seems she's dragged you into it too. I stood abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. I'm leaving. Whatever Emma got into, whatever arrangement you think exists, I'm not part of it. I made it 3 steps before his voice stopped me cold. Sit down, Olivia. It wasn't a request. I turned. Luca hadn't moved, but his posture had shifted. Relaxed on the surface, predatory underneath. If you walk out that door, he said quietly, you become a loose end, someone who knows too much, someone I can't trust. And I have particular ways of dealing with loose ends. The threat hung in the air between us, crystal clear. But if you sit down, he continued, his tone softening slightly, we can talk. I can explain what your sister has gotten herself into. And maybe we can figure out a way to keep both of you alive. My legs shaking, I returned to the table and sat. Luca's smile returned, warmer now. Smart girl. I can see why Emma thought she could use you. She didn't use me, I said, but my voice wavered. He leaned forward. Your sister contacts me, offers valuable information, but sends you, her twin, with no warning or context. What does that tell you? My chest tightened, betrayal finally dawning. It told me Emma had lied. Emma had used me. Emma had put me in danger. She's in trouble, I said quietly. Yes. Luca's voice was surprisingly gentle. And now, so are you. The city lights blurred as tears burned my eyes. I blinked them back. I refused to cry in front of this stranger, this dangerous man my sister had somehow gotten tangled up with. Why? I asked. Why would Emma contact you? What information could she possibly have? Luca studied me for a long moment, as if deciding how much to tell me. Finally he spoke. 3 weeks ago, someone started stealing from me. Small amounts at first, easy to miss. But it's been escalating. $500,000 has gone missing from my operations in the last month alone. I couldn't process that number. $500,000. Your sister, Luca continued, sent me an encrypted message 2 weeks ago. She said she worked at Bennett and Cross Financial. He paused. Do you know what they do? I nodded slowly. Emma was an accountant at Bennett and Cross. Had been for 2 years. They handle accounts for half the businesses in this city, Luca said, including through several shell companies, some of mine. Your sister claimed she'd noticed irregularities, transfers that didn't match up. She said she could prove who was skimming, but she needed protection first. Understanding dawned slowly, horribly. She's a witness. She's a dead woman, Luca corrected bluntly. If whoever's stealing from me finds out she knows, they'll kill her. If the FBI finds out she's been looking at my accounts, they'll arrest her. And if I find out she's playing games with me... He let the sentence hang. She's not, I said quickly. Emma wouldn't. She's not like that. Then where is she, Olivia? Luca's eyes bored into mine. Why did she send you instead? I didn't have an answer. Luca's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. He stood abruptly. We need to leave. Now. What? Why? Because someone just sent me a photo of us sitting here together. He showed me his phone. There we were, captured through the glass, clear as day. And the message that came with it said, wrong twin. We have the right one. My heart stopped. Emma. They have your sister, Luca confirmed, already moving. His hand closed around my arm, firm but not painful. Which means they know she sent you here. Which means they know you're a witness too. So unless you want to end up dead in an alley, you're coming with me. I should have screamed. Should have run. Should have called the police. But Emma's life was in danger. And as terrified as I was of Luca Romano, I was more afraid of what would happen to my sister if I didn't help her. So when he pulled me toward the exit, when his men materialized from the shadows to surround us, when the black car pulled up and he pushed me gently but firmly inside, I went. The door closed behind us, sealing me into Luca Romano's world. And as the car pulled away from the curb, the city lights blurring past, I realized my life had just changed forever. The car drove for 20 minutes through increasingly unfamiliar neighborhoods, the polished downtown giving way to older buildings and narrower streets. I sat rigid in the leather seat, acutely aware of Luca beside me, of the driver who hadn't spoken a word, of the second car following us with tinted windows. My phone buzzed. Emma. Finally. I'm so sorry. Please call me. Are you safe? My hands shook as I typed back. They have you? Who has you? Where are you? The response came immediately. Home. Safe. What do you mean they have me? Liv, what's going on? I stared at the message, confusion giving way to cold understanding. I turned to Luca, holding up my phone. She's home. She says she's safe. Luca's jaw tightened. He pulled out his own phone, showing me the photo again. The one supposedly showing someone had taken Emma. But looking closer now, I could see it wasn't a photo of Emma at all. It was just text, a threat, someone's playing games, Luca said, his voice hard. Testing us. Seeing how we'd react? Who? That's what we need to find out. He leaned forward, speaking to the driver. Take us to the townhouse. Double back twice. Make sure we're not followed. The driver nodded and the car made a sharp turn. I called Emma. She answered on the first ring, her voice high and panicked. Liv? Oh my God, are you okay? I've been trying to reach you for an hour. Why did you send me to meet Luca Romano? I interrupted, my voice shaking with anger now that the immediate fear had passed. Why didn't you tell me who he was? What you'd promised him? Silence on the other end. Emma! I couldn't. Her voice was small now, frightened. If I told you the truth, you wouldn't have gone. But Liv, I needed someone he'd trust. Someone he wouldn't hurt. I thought if you met him, if he saw you were innocent, he'd understand that I'm not trying to scam him, that the information is real. You used me as collateral, I said, the words tasting bitter. I saved your life. Emma's voice cracked. Don't you get it? When I started looking into those accounts, when I realized what I'd found, I knew they'd come after me. I knew I needed protection, but Luca Romano doesn't protect people out of the goodness of his heart, Liv. He needs leverage. He needs something to lose. So I gave him you. The words hit like a physical blow. You told him about me. I whispered. I told him I had a twin sister, someone who knew nothing about any of this, someone innocent. Emma was crying now. I told him if anything happened to me, you'd go to the police with everything. I made you my insurance policy. I thought it would keep us both safe. I looked at Luca. His expression was unreadable, but he'd heard every word. The car was quiet enough that Emma's voice carried clearly. Your sister's smarter than I gave her credit for, he said quietly. Ruthless, but smart. Is she right? I demanded. Am I leverage? You were, Luca admitted. When I agreed to meet Emma tonight, I knew about you. I knew she had a twin. I knew that the twin was a librarian with no criminal record, no connection to my world. The perfect witness if something went wrong. But now, his eyes met mine. Now you're a complication. Because whoever's stealing from me knows about you too. They know you came to meet me. They might think you have Emma's evidence, which makes you a target. Emma, I said into the phone, my voice hard. Where's the evidence? What exactly did you find? I made copies, she said quickly. Encrypted files, bank transfers, shell company documents, and everything else. I have them hidden. Where? Luca's voice cut through, sharp as a blade. Emma hesitated. Who's that? Luca Romano. He's right here, Emma. He's been listening to everything. So stop playing games and tell us where the evidence is, because apparently someone's trying to kill us both over it. The evidence is safe, Emma said, her voice steadier now. And it stays safe until I have guarantees. Real guarantees, not just promises. Luca held out his hand for my phone. I hesitated, then gave it to him. Miss Hartley, he said, his tone formal, controlled. Let me be very clear about your situation. You've stumbled onto something that's cost me $500,000 and counting. The person responsible has resources, intelligence, and no qualms about killing witnesses. Your sister is now in my car, heading to my safe house, because staying at her apartment tonight would be suicide. You have two choices. Bring me that evidence and accept my protection, or try to handle this yourself and end up dead before morning. Which will it be? I heard Emma breathing on the other end, the sound ragged. How do I know you won't kill us once you have what you need? She asked. Because I'm a businessman, not a murderer, Luca said, though something in his tone suggested the line between the two was thinner than I wanted to believe. Dead witnesses cause more problems than they solve. But I will have that evidence, Miss Hartley. The only question is whether you give it to me willingly or whether I take it after you're no longer in a position to negotiate. Luca, I said sharply. She's my sister. He looked at me, his expression softening slightly. Which is why I'm being patient. But my patience has limits. He handed the phone back to me. Emma, I said quietly, please. I'm scared and I'm in over my head and I need you to do the right thing here. Where's the evidence? Another long pause. Then, my gym locker. 24-hour fitness on Parkside. Locker 247. The combination is your birthday. My birthday. Of course, she'd use my birthday. There's a USB drive taped to the underside of the top shelf, Emma continued. Everything's on there. I found bank records, transfer receipts, and emails on the company server. It's enough to prove who's been stealing and how they've been laundering the money. Luca was already on his phone, speaking in rapid Italian to someone. He ended the call and looked at me. We'll have the drive in 30 minutes. My people are good. What about Emma? I asked. If your people know where she hid the evidence, what's to stop your enemies from figuring it out too? Nothing, Luca admitted. Which is why we're bringing her here too. Tell her to pack a bag. Tell her she has 10 minutes before my men arrive at her apartment. I relayed the message. Emma's voice was small when she answered. I'm sorry, Liv. I never meant for it to go this far. I found something I wasn't supposed to see, and I didn't know what else to do. We'll figure it out, I said, though I had no idea if that was true. Just pack and be ready. And Emma, no more lies, no more games. From here on out, we do this together. Together, she agreed, and ended the call. The car pulled up to a townhouse in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of place where old money lived behind iron gates and tall hedges. Luca's hand was at my elbow as we climbed the steps, guiding me inside with a gentleness that contradicted everything I knew about him. The interior was elegant but understated. Hardwood floors, cream walls, furniture that looked expensive but comfortable. It felt like a home, not a hideout. You'll be safe here, Luca said, locking the door behind us. The house is secure. Armed guards on every exit. No one gets in or out without my approval. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. He moved to a bar cart, pouring 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed me one. There's a difference. I took it, my hand still shaking. The whiskey burned going down, but it steadied my nerves. Luca loosened his tie, and for the first time, I saw him as something other than the controlled, dangerous man from the bar. He looked tired, frustrated, almost human. How long have you known? I asked. That I wasn't Emma? A small smile touched his lips. From the moment you sat down. How? The way you ordered your drink. Emma's messages were confident, almost aggressive. But you hesitated, like you were remembering lines from a script. Your sister would have owned that martini. You looked like you were drinking poison. He took a sip of his own whiskey. Also, you tuck your hair behind your right ear when you're nervous. Emma's photos all show her tucking it behind her left. I stared at him. You studied her photos that closely? I study everyone closely. It's why I'm still alive. So why didn't you say anything? Why let me keep pretending? Luca was quiet for a moment, considering curiosity at first. I wanted to see how long you'd maintain the deception, what you'd do when pressed. But then, he paused, his eyes meeting mine. Then I realized Emma had sent you into danger with no warning, no protection, no information. And I got angry. Angry at Emma? Angry at the situation. Your sister isn't stupid. Sending you was calculated. She knew I wouldn't hurt someone genuinely innocent. Someone who didn't know what they were walking into. She used your ignorance as a shield. And now that shield's gone, I said quietly. Now we work together to find out who's trying to kill you both. A knock at the door made me jump. Luca checked his phone, then moved to answer it. 2 men entered, one carrying a small USB drive, the other escorting Emma. My sister looked exactly like me. Same dark hair, same brown eyes, same sharp cheekbones. But where I was wearing her confident red dress, she was in jeans and an oversized sweater, her face pale and drawn. Liv, she breathed, and crossed the room in 3 strides to pull me into a fierce hug. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I held her tight, anger and relief warring in my chest. You should be. Luca cleared his throat. Touching reunion. But we have work to do. He held up the USB drive. Let's see what was worth risking both your lives. He led us to a study lined with books, a large desk dominating the space. He plugged the drive into a laptop, and we all crowded around to watch as files populated the screen. Emma had been thorough. Bank statements, wire transfer records, emails, scanned documents, months of evidence, meticulously organized. Luca's expression grew darker as he scrolled through the files. Jesus Christ, he muttered. This goes deeper than I thought. What is it? I asked. He turned the screen toward us. Your sister didn't just find evidence of theft. She found evidence of a coup. Emma leaned closer, her brow furrowed. What do you mean? These transfers, they're not just skimming profits. They're moving money to accounts in Eastern Europe, the Cayman Islands, and Switzerland. Someone's been systematically draining my operations and setting up a new power base. He looked at Emma with something like respect. How did you even find this? I got curious, Emma admitted. One of our clients, Meridian Holdings, had transfer patterns that didn't make sense. Money would come in, get split across multiple accounts, then reconsolidate somewhere else. It looked like money laundering, but the amounts were too large, too consistent. So I started digging. And you found my accounts, Luca finished. Emma nodded. I didn't know they were yours, not at first. But when I traced the ownership through the shell companies, your name kept appearing. And then I realized that whoever was stealing from you was also using our firm to do it. They needed someone inside Bennett and Cross to make the transfers look legitimate. Who? Luca's voice was steel. Who at your firm has access to these accounts? Emma's face went pale. Only 3 people. My boss, Richard Bennett. The senior accountant, James Cross, and... Luca prompted. And his daughter, Emma whispered. Sophia Cross, she's the one who hired me. The one who gave me access to the Meridian accounts. Her eyes widened. Oh God, she was setting me up. If anyone noticed the theft, I'd be the fall guy. Luca was already pulling out his phone, barking orders in Italian. He ended the call and looked at us both. We have a problem. Sophia Cross isn't just an accountant. She's engaged to Marco Salvetti. The name meant nothing to me, but Emma gasped. The Salvetti family, she said. They're like you, aren't they? One of the families. They're my biggest rivals, Luca corrected. And if Sophia's been funneling my money to Marco, this isn't just theft. It's a declaration of war. The weight of that statement settled over the room like a shroud. They'll kill us, Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. If they know we have this evidence, they'll kill you to protect their operation, yes, Luca agreed bluntly. Which is why you're both staying here until I can figure out how to handle this. Handle it how? I demanded. You can't just, murder them? Luca's smile was cold. I can do exactly that, but it would be messy, and it would start a war that would cost more lives than just theirs. So first, I'm going to try diplomacy. Diplomacy, I repeated flatly. With people who want to kill my sister. With people who want to kill both of you now, Luca corrected. Which is why you'll stay here, where I can protect you, while I arrange a meeting with Salvetti. I'll offer him a choice. Return my money and end this partnership with Sophia Cross, or face consequences he won't walk away from. And if he refuses? Emma asked. Luca's expression was enough of an answer. The study door opened, and one of Luca's men leaned in, speaking rapid Italian. Luca's face went hard. We have a problem, he said. My people just picked up chatter. The Salvetti family knows about the USB drive. They're moving tonight. Moving how? I asked, fear icing my veins. They've sent people to your apartments, your workplaces, anywhere you might have hidden evidence. And he paused, his jaw clenching. They've put a price on both your heads, 50,000 each, alive. They want to question you before they kill you. Emma made a slight, strangled sound. Luca was already in motion, phone to his ear, issuing orders. He ended the call and turned to us. The house is secure, but we're not waiting for them to test it. I have a secondary location, somewhere even the Salvettis don't know about. We're moving you there now. Both of us? Emma asked. Both of you. His eyes met mine. I protect what's mine. And like it or not, you're both mine now. At least until this is over. The possessiveness in his tone should have frightened me. Instead, I felt a strange sense of relief. Someone was taking control. Someone knew what to do, even if that someone were a Mafia boss I'd met 3 hours ago. Get your things, Luca ordered. We leave in 5 minutes. Emma and I moved quickly, gathering the few belongings we'd brought. As I passed Luca in the hallway, he caught my arm. I'm going to keep you safe, he said quietly. Both of you. I give you my word. Why? I asked. We're nobody. Why risk a war with the Salvettis over us? Something flickered in his eyes. Something almost vulnerable. Because Emma was right. You're innocent. You didn't ask for any of this. And because he paused, then seemed to make a decision. Because the first moment I saw you, sitting at that bar in your sister's dress, trying so hard to be someone you're not, I knew you were different. You were terrified, but you didn't run. You were in over your head, but you didn't break. And I thought, his hand came up to cut my cheek, the gesture surprisingly tender. I thought, here's someone worth protecting. My breath caught. Luca, later, he said, dropping his hand. Right now we run. But later, Olivia, we're going to have a conversation about why I'm really keeping you close. And it has nothing to do with your sister's evidence. He walked away before I could respond, leaving me standing in the hallway with my heart pounding for entirely different reasons than fear. Emma appeared at my shoulder. Did he just— Not now, I said, but I couldn't stop the flush creeping up my neck. We were running for our lives from a crime family. My sister had dragged me into a Mafia war, and somehow, impossibly, I was developing feelings for Luca Romano. My life had officially become wild. The safe house was nothing like the elegant townhouse. This was a fortress disguised as an abandoned warehouse. Reinforced steel doors, security cameras on every corner, armed guards patrolling the perimeter. Luca led us inside, and I was surprised to find the interior had been converted into a surprisingly comfortable living space with exposed brick walls. Industrial lighting, soft rugs, a full kitchen, and comfy furniture. You'll be safe here, Luca said, checking his phone for the 100th time. No one knows about this location except my most trusted people. How long do we have to stay? Emma asked, sitting heavily on the couch. As long as it takes. Luca poured 3 glasses of wine and handed them out. I've called for a meeting with Marco Salvetti, tomorrow night, neutral ground. I'm going to give him a chance to make this right. And if he doesn't? I asked. Luca's smile was predatory. Then I make him wish he had. Emma and I exchanged glances. This was the man we were trusting with our lives. Someone who spoke casually about violence, who moved through a world of threats and counter-threats like it was a chess game, but he'd also protected us and believed us. He took us seriously when he could have dismissed us as collateral damage. I need to know something, I said, setting down my wine. When this is over, if we survive this, what happens to us? Do we go back to our lives? Pretend none of this happened? Luca studied me for a long moment. That depends. On what? On whether you want to go back. His eyes held mine. On whether you can go back after everything you've seen. Everything you know. Are you saying we're trapped in your world now? Emma's voice was sharp. That we can never be free of this? I'm saying the world you thought you lived in was an illusion, Luca replied. You've seen behind the curtain now. You know how things really work in this city. You can try to go back to your old life. Pretend you don't know what you know. But you'll always be looking over your shoulder. You'll always wonder who's watching. Who knows what you saw? The truth of his words settled like lead in my stomach. Unless, Luca continued, you accept protection. Real protection. The kind that doesn't end when this crisis is over. What kind of protection? I asked warily. The kind that comes with being part of my world. My organization. Under my protection permanently. Emma laughed, the sound brittle. You want us to work for you? Join the Mafia? I want you to be safe, Luca corrected. And to be safe in this city, knowing what you know, you need to be under someone's protection. It might as well be mine. There has to be another way, I said. Witness protection. We could testify against the Salvetti family. Luca shook his head. You'd be dead before you reached the courthouse. And even if you survived the trial, you'd spend the rest of your life in hiding. Always running. Always afraid. Is that the life you want? I didn't answer because I didn't have one. Emma stood abruptly. I need air. It's too much. I can't think. You can't leave, Luca said, his tone allowing no argument. I'm not leaving the building. I need space. She looked at me, her eyes pleading. Live? I nodded. Go, I'll be here. Emma disappeared toward what I assumed were bedrooms in the back of the converted warehouse. I heard a door close, then silence. Luca and I were alone. He moved to the window, looking out at the city lights in the distance. She's stronger than she seems, he said quietly. Taking evidence from the Salvettis, reaching out to me, those weren't the actions of a frightened accountant. She's terrified, I countered. She just hides it better than I do. And you? Luca turned to face me. Are you terrified of me, Olivia? I should have said yes. Every instinct should have been screaming danger. But looking at him now, seeing the careful control, the way he'd protected us despite having every reason to walk away, I found I wasn't afraid of Luca Romano. I was afraid of how much I was starting to trust him. I should be, I admitted. But no, not of you. He crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping just in front of me. Close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, smell his cologne, and feel the heat radiating from his body. You should be, he said softly. I'm not a good man, Olivia. I've done things that would horrify you, hurt people. Worse. I live in a world where violence is currency and loyalty is bought with blood. Then why do I feel safer with you than I have anywhere else? The words escaped before I could stop them. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or something deeper. Because you see what most people miss. You see that everything I do for a reason. I protect what's mine. I keep my word, and I never, ever leave my people exposed. I'm not your people, I whispered, even as my heart hammered at the possessiveness in his tone. Aren't you? His hand came up, fingers tracing the line of my jaw. You walked into my world wearing your sister's dress and your own courage. You didn't break when I revealed I knew the truth. You didn't run when you learned who I was. You stood your ground and demanded answers. That takes strength most people don't have. Or stupidity. He smiled, and it transformed his face. Made him look younger, less dangerous. Maybe both. But I've been in this business for 20 years, Olivia. I've seen every kind of person there is. And you... His thumb brushed my lower lip and I shivered. You're different. You're real in a world of liars. Honest in a city built on corruption. And that makes you more dangerous than any weapon I own. Dangerous how? Because you make me want things I can't have. A normal life. Someone who sees me as more than what I do. Someone who... He stopped, jaw clenching as if he'd said too much. The moment stretched between us. Charged and impossible. Then his phone rang, shattering the spell. Luca stepped back, answering in clipped Italian. His expression darkened as he listened. He ended the call and looked at me, all business again. The meeting's been moved up. Salvetti wants to talk tonight. Why? Because he knows we have the evidence, and he knows the longer we have it, the more dangerous it becomes for him. Luca checked his watch. I have to go. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. It's my sister's evidence. My life is on the line. I have a right... You have a right to stay alive, Luca interrupted. And walking into a meeting with Marco Salvetti is suicide for someone like you. He'd take you hostage in a heartbeat. Then take Emma. She's the one who found the evidence. She should be there. Luca shook his head. Neither of you is coming. This is my world, my rules. You stay here where it's safe. And if something happens to you? I demanded. If this is a trap? If Salvetti... I couldn't finish the sentence. His expression softened. If something happens to me, my second-in-command, Antonio, will get you both out of the city. You'll have new identities, money, and protection. I've already made arrangements. I don't want arrangements. I want you to come back. The words hung in the air, too honest, too revealing. Luca crossed back to me, cupping my face in both hands. I will, he promised. I've survived worse than Marco Salvetti. But Olivia, if something does go wrong, if you don't hear from me by morning... He pressed something into my hand. A key. There's a safe deposit box at First National Bank. Box 237. Everything you need is in there. Passports, cash, and account numbers. Take Emma and run. Luca, he kissed me. Complex and desperate and full of everything we hadn't said. I melted into it, my hands fisting in his shirt. Anchoring myself to this moment, this man, this impossible situation. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Stay alive, I whispered. Always do. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Then he was gone, the heavy door closing behind him with a finality that made my chest tight. Emma emerged from the back room, her eyes red. He left? I nodded, still tasting Luca on my lips. Liv, she hesitated. Are you falling for him? I don't know, I admitted. Maybe. Is that insane? Completely. Emma sat beside me, taking my hand. But I get it. There's something about him. The way he looks at you like you're the only real thing in his world. He looks at you like that too. You're the one who brought him evidence, who trusted him. He looks at me like an asset, Emma corrected. He looks at you like you matter. It's not about what you can do for him. Just you. I squeezed her hand. I'm sorry you're in this mess. I'm the one who should apologize. I dragged you into this, used you. I was so scared, and I thought if I sent you instead of going myself, you'd be safe. That he wouldn't hurt someone innocent. You were right, I said. He didn't, but I put you in danger anyway. And now God, Liv, you're kissing a Mafia boss. This is so far beyond anything I intended. I laughed, the sound slightly hysterical. Nothing about tonight has gone as intended. We sat in silence for a while, the warehouse quiet around us. Guards moved outside, shadows passing the windows. The city hummed in the distance, unaware of the small drama playing out in its shadows. What do we do if he doesn't come back? Emma asked finally. I looked at the key in my hand. We run like he said. New identities, new lives. We disappear. And if he does come back? I thought about Luca's offer. Protection. A place in his world. A life that would never be normal, never be safe, but might be real in ways my old life never was. I don't know, I admitted. But Emma, I don't think I can go back. Not after this. Not after seeing... I know. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I feel it too, like we crossed a line, and there's no uncrossing it. The hours crawled by. Midnight came and went. Emma fell asleep on the couch, exhausted by fear and adrenaline. I stayed awake, watching the clock, clutching my phone, jumping at every sound. At 3 a.m., the door opened. I was on my feet in an instant, heart in my throat. Luca walked in, his suit jacket gone, his shirt blood-stained, his knuckles raw. But he was alive. He was walking. He was here. Luca. His name escaped as a sob. He crossed to me, pulling me into his arms. I felt him shaking, or maybe that was me. We stood there holding each other, the relief overwhelming. What happened? I finally managed. Salvetti's dead, Luca said flatly. It was a trap. He tried to kill me. I killed him first. The words should have horrified me, should have sent me running, but all I felt was relief that Luca was alive. And now? Now there will be war, he said quietly. The Salvetti family won't let this go unanswered. They'll come after me, after everyone I care about. His arms tightened around me. After you? Then we fight, I said, surprising myself with the certainty in my voice. He pulled back to look at me. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. You protected us. You kept your word. And I took a breath. I choose this. I choose you. I choose to stop running. Olivia, I'm not the same person I was this morning, I interrupted. That Olivia was a librarian who lived a quiet life and never took risks. But that life was a lie. I was hiding and pretending to be safe. But there is no safe. There's only choosing what you're willing to fight for. Something blazed in Luca's eyes. Pride, desire, something fierce and possessive. You understand what you're choosing? This life, my life, it's dangerous. It's violent. There's no going back once you're in. I understand. Your sister can make her own choice, but this is mine. I'm staying. Luca kissed me again, and this time it wasn't desperate. It was a promise, a beginning. When we broke apart, Emma was awake, watching us from the couch. Emma, I started. She held up a hand. I heard, and Liv, I get it. I really do. But I can't. I can't live this life. I'm not brave like you. You're the bravest person I know, I protested. You found the evidence. You reached out to Luca. I was terrified the whole time, Emma interrupted. And I'm still terrified. I don't want to spend my life looking over my shoulder, wondering who's going to try to kill me next. I want normal, boring, safe. Luca spoke quietly. I'll give you that. New identity, new city, enough money to start over. You'll be safe, Emma. You have my word. Emma looked at me, tears streaming down her face. I'm losing you, aren't I? You're not losing me, I said, my own tears falling. We're choosing different paths, but we're still sisters. We'll always be sisters. We held each other, crying, knowing that everything was changing, and there was no stopping it. When we finally pulled apart, Emma managed a watery smile. Promise me you'll be happy. That this, whatever this is with him, makes you happy. I looked at Luca, at the man who'd walked into my life through deception and danger, who'd protected me when he had every reason not to, who looked at me like I was worth fighting for. I promise, I said. The following 2 weeks were a whirlwind of change and violence. Marco Salvetti's death had ignited exactly the war Luca predicted. The Salvetti family came after him with everything they had. Hits on his businesses, attacks on his men, a full-scale assault on his territory. But Luca was ready. He'd been planning for this, I learned. Marco's betrayal, the stolen money. It had all been building to this moment. And he won. It wasn't clean. It wasn't bloodless. But when the dust settled, the Salvetti family was broken. Their operations absorbed into Luca's, their leadership dead or in prison. Emma left on a Tuesday morning, with tears, promises, and one last fierce hug. Luca's people drove her to the airport, gave her a new passport with a new name and tickets to Seattle where she'd start over. We promised to stay in touch through encrypted messages, through coded phone calls, but we both knew it wouldn't be the same. She was choosing safety. I was choosing truth. The warehouse became my home. Luca brought in my things from my apartment, books, clothes, the small pieces of my old life. I quit my job at the library via email, citing a family emergency, and disappeared from my old world as completely as Emma had. Some nights, I wondered if I'd made a mistake. if I'd traded one cage for another. But then Luca would come home, bloodied and exhausted, and I'd patch his wounds while he told me about his day. And I'd realize this was real in a way my old life never was. Dangerous, yes. Complicated, absolutely. But honest. He didn't lie to me about what he didn't sugarcoat the violence or the moral compromises. He showed me his world, all of it, the beautiful and the brutal, and let me decide if I could live with it. I could. 1 month after the night I'd pretended to be Emma, Luca took me to the rooftop bar where it had all started. We sat at the same corner table, the city spreading out below us like a promise. "Do you regret it?" he asked, his hand covering mine. "Any of it?" I thought about Emma, safe in Seattle, sending me pictures of her new apartment, her new job, her new boring everyday life. I thought about my library card gathering dust somewhere, my old apartment rented to someone else, my former life erased like it had never existed. "No," I said honestly. "I don't. Even though you can never go back? I don't want to go back. That life, it wasn't really living. It was just existing. Hiding. I gestured at the city, at us, at the impossible thing we'd built from lies and danger. This is living." Luca smiled, the genuine smile he saved just for me. "I love you," he said. "I know it's too soon. I know we met under impossible circumstances. I know I'm not the kind of man you should love, but I love you too," I interrupted. "And you're right. It's too soon, and it's impossible, and this will never be easy, but it's real, and I chose it. I choose you." He kissed me as the city lights flickered around us, and I felt the last piece of my old self fall away. Olivia, the librarian, was gone. In her place was Olivia Romano, because yes, we'd married quietly, legally, binding ourselves together in ways that went beyond love. I was now part of his world, protected, claimed, his, and he was mine. 2 months later, I was in Luca's office when the call came in. He answered, his expression darkening as he listened. He hung up and looked at me. "There's a problem," he said carefully. "What kind of problem?" "Emma has a problem." My heart stopped. "Is she okay? Did something happen?" "She's fine." But he hesitated. "She's been asking questions about her old firm, about Sophia Cross. Apparently, Sophia wasn't caught in the raids. She disappeared before we could get to her." So Emma's been tracking her, and she thinks she's found her." Luca's jaw tightened. In Seattle, understanding dawned cold and horrible. She wants revenge, or justice, or closure, whatever you want to call it. Luca stood, already moving toward his secure phone. "But if Emma goes after Sophia, if she exposes herself, the remnants of the Salvetti family will find her," I finished. "They're still looking for the person who gave you the evidence." "I can send people," Luca said. "Protection. We can keep her safe." But I was already shaking my head. "She won't accept it. She left to get away from this world, remember? If you send your people, she'll run again." "Then what do you suggest?" I took a breath, knowing what I was about to propose would change everything. Again. "I go. Just me. No guards, no guns, no visible connection to you. Just a sister visiting her twin." "Absolutely not. Luca, you're not going into a situation with a trained killer without protection," Luca said, his voice hard. "I won't allow it." "You won't allow it?" I raised an eyebrow, feeling a spark of the old defiance that had first caught his attention. "I'm not asking permission. I'm telling you what I'm going to do." We stared at each other across the desk, the air crackling with tension. This was our first real fight as a married couple. Over my sister, over safety, over the fundamental question of who I was in this new life. Was I Luca's wife, to be protected and kept safe? Or was I my own person, capable of making dangerous choices? Luca's jaw worked, and I could see him wrestling with competing instincts. Finally he spoke, his voice carefully controlled. "If you go prepared. Trained, armed, and with a way to contact me every 4 hours. Miss one check-in, and I'm sending everything I have." "Deal," I said immediately. Over the next week, Luca's people taught me things I'd never imagined needing to know. How to shoot a gun, how to spot a tail, how to disappear in a crowd, how to lie convincingly under pressure, though I pointed out I'd already proven I could do that. That was different, Luca said, watching me practice at the range. That was acting. This is survival. On a gray Tuesday morning, I boarded a plane to Seattle. Luca kissed me goodbye at a private airfield, his hands framing my face. 4 hours, he reminded me. Don't make me come after you. I won't. I kissed him once more. I'll bring her home, Luca. My sister and I, we're going to end this together. And then? And then we both come back if she'll have us. If there's a place for her here, there's always a place for family, Luca said quietly. Even a family that chooses to leave. The flight was short, but it felt like crossing into another world. Seattle was gray and green, with rain-slicked streets and coffee shops on every corner. I found Emma's apartment easily. Luca's people had been keeping tabs, even if she didn't know it. I knocked on her door at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. Emma opened it, her face going pale. Liv, how did you find me? Can I come in? She stepped back, letting me into a small but cozy apartment. Books everywhere. We'd always shared that trait. A cat wound around my legs, and I smiled. You got a cat. His name is Gatsby. Emma's voice was strained. Liv, why are you here? Is something wrong? Is it Luca? Luca's fine. I'm here because of you. Her expression shuddered. I don't know what you mean. Sophia Cross. You've been looking for her. You found her. I sat on her couch, Gatsby immediately jumping into my lap. And you're planning something stupid. Emma was silent for a long moment. Then she sank into a chair, her face crumpling. She's here, Liv, living under a fake name, working at a gallery, and acting as if she hadn't destroyed our lives. Like she didn't try to kill us? I know. She should pay. Someone should make her pay. Agreed, I said calmly. So let's do it together. The right way. Emma looked up, hope and fear warring in her eyes. What do you mean? I told her Luca's plan, the one we'd developed together on sleepless nights, knowing this moment would come eventually. Sophia Cross had evidence too. Evidence of her own crimes, insurance policies she'd keep in case the Salvetti family ever turned on her. If we could get that evidence, we could trade it. To the FBI? To rival families? To whoever would pay the most and guarantee Sophia spent the rest of her life in prison? You want to steal from her, Emma said slowly. I want to finish what you started. You uncovered the evidence that led to the downfall of the Salvettis. Now we find the evidence that puts Sophia away forever. And Luca's okay with this? I smiled. It was his idea. Turns out my husband is big on poetic justice. Emma flinched at the word husband, but she nodded slowly. When? Tonight. She has a showing at the gallery. She'll be there from 7 to 10. That gives us 3 hours to search her apartment. How do you know all this? Luca's people have been watching her, waiting for the right moment. I leaned forward. Emma, this is your chance. Not for revenge, for justice. Real justice. Are you in? My sister looked at me for a long moment, and I saw her weighing it. Safety versus closure. Running versus fighting. Finally, she smiled. The old Emma smile, the one full of mischief and courage. I'm in. That night, we broke into Sophia Cross's apartment like we were in a heist movie. Emma picked the lock. Apparently, she'd learned some interesting skills in her month of freedom. I kept watch, my hand on the gun Luca had given me, praying I wouldn't have to use it. The apartment was sleek and modern, all white walls and expensive art. We worked quickly, Emma checking the obvious places while I looked for hidden compartments, false bottoms, the kinds of hiding spots Luca had taught me to recognize. Leave. Emma's voice was tight. I found something. She held up a leather-bound journal, her hands shaking. I crossed to her, reading over her shoulder. It was all there. Every transaction, every meeting, every detail of Sophia's partnership with Marco Salvetti, and more, evidence of other crimes, other families, a web of corruption that went deeper than we'd imagined. This could bring down half the criminal organizations on the West Coast. Emma breathed. Then let's make sure it gets to the right people. We copied everything. Photos on our phones. Scans on a portable scanner Emma had brought. We were careful, meticulous, making sure we left no trace. We were almost done when I heard the key in the lock. Emma and I looked at each other in panic. We weren't supposed to have another hour, but the door was opening, and there was nowhere to hide. Sophia Cross walked in, and for a moment we all froze. She was beautiful in a cold, calculated way, blonde hair perfectly styled, designer dress, sharp eyes that took in the situation immediately. Those eyes widened when she saw us. "The Hartley twins," she said, her voice surprisingly calm. "I should have known you'd be stupid enough to come after me." "We're just taking what belongs to the FBI," I said, my hand drifting toward the gun in my jacket. Sophia noticed the movement and smiled. "You're not going to shoot me. You're a librarian playing dress-up in a mobster's world. You don't have the stomach for it." She was wrong. I pulled the gun, my hand steady, my aim true. Everything Luca had taught me came together in this moment. "I'm not a librarian anymore, and you're going to let us walk out of here with that journal, or I'm going to shoot you in the knee and then call the police myself." Sophia's smile faltered. She'd miscalculated, I realized. She'd seen Emma's scared accountant and my quiet librarian, and she'd assumed we were still those people. But we'd changed. We'd survived. We'd become something more challenging. Something sharper. "The journal's worthless," Sophia tried. "It's coded. You'll never be able to read it." "We don't need to read it," Emma said, holding up her phone. "We just need to give it to people who can. The FBI has code breakers. So do the Morellis, the Costanzas, every family you've betrayed in these pages." Sophia's face went white. "You wouldn't. Watch us." I gestured with the gun. "Sit down. Hands where I can see them." She sat, and Emma quickly bound her hands with zip ties from her bag. Another thing she'd apparently learned. I kept the gun trained on Sophia while Emma made a call. Not to the police. Not to the FBI, to Luca. "We have her," Emma said. "And the evidence. What do you want us to do?" I couldn't hear Luca's response, but Emma nodded. "Understood. We'll wait." She hung up and looked at me. "He's sending people. They'll be here in 20 minutes. We're to keep her secure until then." "And then?" I asked. "And then Luca makes her an offer. She testifies against everyone in that journal, every family, every criminal organization, in exchange for witness protection and her life." Sophia laughed bitterly. "I'll be dead within a week." "Probably," I agreed. "But you'll have a week more than you deserve." We waited in tense silence. Sophia tried negotiating, then threatening, then begging. We ignored her. Emma and I had been through too much to be swayed by words. When Luca's people arrived, including Luca himself, because of course he hadn't stayed in the city, the relief that flooded through me was overwhelming. He took in the scene with one sweep of his sharp eyes, then smiled. "Well done," he said, and the pride in his voice made me stand taller. His people took Sophia away. Luca wrapped his arms around me, holding me tight. "You scared me," he murmured into my hair. "When you missed your 4-hour check-in, I'm sorry. We got caught up in the moment." "I know." He pulled back to look at me. "You're not a librarian anymore, are you?" I thought about the gun in my hand, the way I'd faced down Sophia without flinching, the thrill of victory singing in my veins. "No," I said. "I'm not." Emma cleared her throat. "So, what happens now?" Luca looked at her, his expression softening. "That depends. Do you want to stay here? Keep hiding? Or, Emma prompted. "Or you come back, join us. Use that brilliant mind of yours for something more than running away." He glanced at me, then back to Emma. "I could use someone with your skills. Someone I can trust. Someone Olivia trusts." Emma looked at me, uncertainty and hope warring in her eyes. "Liv? It's your choice," I said. "I chose this life because it's what I needed. But you need to choose for yourself. Whatever you decide, I'll support you." Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked around her small apartment, at the life she'd built in hiding, at the cat curling around her ankles. "I'm tired of running," she said finally. "I'm tired of being scared. And I'm tired of being alone." She looked at Luca. "If I come back, I'm not just arm candy or a secretary or whatever. I work, real work. I use my brain." "Agreed," Luca said immediately. "I need financial analysts who can't be bought. Individuals with knowledge of money laundering, shell companies, and asset concealment. People who can find what others have hidden. Basically what I was doing at Bennett and Cross, but for you instead of against you. Exactly. Emma took a deep breath. Then I'm in. But I'm bringing Gatsby, I laughed, the sound bright and free. Of course you are. 6 months later, I stood in Luca's office. Our office now, since he'd cleared half the space for me to work, reviewing security reports. Emma was downstairs in what we called the money room, tracking accounts and finding inefficiencies in Luca's operations. She'd been right. She was brilliant at it. She'd already saved Luca millions by restructuring his legitimate businesses to maximize profit while minimizing legal exposure. Gatsby had become the office cat, wandering between rooms and demanding attention from battle-hardened criminals who melted under his insistent meowing. We'd settled into a strange kind of normal. Emma had her own apartment in a building Luca owned, close enough to visit, but far enough for privacy. She was dating one of Luca's lawyers, a lovely man named David, who made her laugh and didn't ask too many questions about her past. I'd stopped thinking about my old life. The library, the quiet apartment, the carefully constructed safety that had really been a prison. This life was dangerous, yes, complicated, absolutely, but it was real. Luca walked in, dropping a kiss on my head before moving to his desk. It was these small moments I treasured most. The domesticity in the middle of chaos. The gentleness from a man the city feared. I have something for you, he said, pulling out a folder. I opened it, scanning the contents. My breath caught. This is Sophia's testimony. All of it. She's been very cooperative, Luca said with satisfaction. 13 families implicated. 47 individuals were arrested. The FBI is calling it the biggest organized crime bust in 20 years. And Sophia? Witness protection. New identity. She'll spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder. Just like she made you and Emma do. Poetic justice. I set down the folder and crossed to him, settling into his lap. His arms came around me automatically, holding me close. Do you ever regret it? I asked. Taking us in that night? We've caused you nothing but trouble. You've given me everything, he corrected. A wife I trust. An ally in Emma. A future that's more than just power and profit. His hand came up to cup my cheek. I spent 20 years building an empire, Olivia, but I was doing it alone, surrounded by people who feared me or wanted something from me. You see me? The real me. That's worth more than any amount of money or power. I love you, I said. I love you too, even though you're terrible at following orders and gave me a heart attack in Seattle. I laughed. I told you I'm not that obedient librarian anymore. No, you're not. You're Olivia Romano, and you're terrifying in the best possible way. A knock at the door interrupted us. Emma poked her head in, Gatsby in her arms. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a problem. Luca sighed. What kind of problem? The fun kind. Emma's eyes sparkled. I found something in the Mercer accounts. Someone's skimming again, and I think I know who. Luca and I exchanged glances. Here we go again. Tell me, Luca said, and Emma launched into an explanation of shell companies and suspicious transfers, while Gatsby purred in her arms. I listened, contributing observations, catching details Emma had missed. We worked as a team, combining Emma's financial brilliance, my strategic thinking, and Luca's experience and resources. Together we were formidable. An hour later we had a plan. Emma would trace the money while I coordinated with Luca's people on the ground. We'd find the thief, recover the stolen funds, and ensure it never happens again. It was dangerous work, illegal work, the kind of thing the old Olivia would have been horrified by. But I wasn't that Olivia anymore. I'd walked into a rooftop bar 6 months ago, wearing my sister's red dress and a lie. I'd pretended to be someone I wasn't, and in doing so I'd discovered who I really was. Not a librarian hiding from life. Not a twin living in her sister's shadow. Not a woman waiting for permission to exist. I was Olivia Romano, wife of a Mafia boss, sister to a brilliant analyst, a woman who'd chosen danger over safety, truth over comfort, and in doing so, had found herself. As the city lights flickered on outside the window, I stood beside Luca and Emma, planning our next move. The old Olivia would have been terrified. The old Olivia would have run, but I wasn't running anymore. I was home. They say you never really know yourself until you're tested, until you're pushed to your limits and forced to discover what you're made of. I thought I knew who I was. A quiet librarian, the careful twin, the one who played it safe while Emma took risks. But I was wrong. Because when I walked into that rooftop bar pretending to be my sister, I started a chain of events that would change everything. I met a man who saw through my lies but loved me anyway. I discovered courage I didn't know I had. I learned that safety is an illusion, and that the only real choice is what you're willing to fight for. My sister thought she was protecting me by sending me in her place that night. She thought she was keeping me out of danger, but what she actually did was set me free. Free from a life that was too small, from fears that kept me hiding, from the belief that I was somehow less than, somehow weaker, somehow not enough. She sent me to meet a Mafia boss, and in doing so, I found myself. Not the self I thought I was, the self I was meant to be. Strong, decisive, capable of things I'd never imagined. Capable of love that doesn't ask permission. Capable of choosing danger over safety if danger means truth. I pretended to be my twin sister on her blind date. And the Mafia boss called me by my real name. But here's the thing about names, about identity, about who we really are. Sometimes the person we're pretending to be is closer to our true self than the person we've been all along. I pretended to be confident, fearless, ready for anything. And in pretending, I became those things. Luca saw it before I did. He knew I wasn't Emma from the moment I sat down. But more than that, he saw who I could be, who I wanted to be, the woman hiding beneath the costume, desperate to break free, and he permitted me not to be someone else, to be myself, my authentic, terrifying, powerful self. Emma found her courage, too, in her own way. She came back, not because she had to, but because she chose to. She realized that running from danger isn't the same as finding safety, that sometimes the scariest thing is admitting what you really want. We're not the identical twins who started this journey. We're no longer hiding behind each other, using our identical faces as shields. We're standing side by side, facing the world on our own terms. She's the brilliant analyst who can trace money through a dozen shell companies. I'm the strategist who can see patterns, connections, and the bigger picture. Together we're unstoppable, and Luca, my dangerous, complicated, surprisingly gentle husband, he's the foundation we both stand on, the man who turned what could have been a tragedy into a beginning. People ask me if I regret it. Suppose I miss my old life. If I ever think about going back to the library, to quiet days and predictable routines, I don't. Because I finally understand something crucial. There are two kinds of safety. The safety of hiding, of making yourself small, of never risking anything, and the safety of being known, of being loved for who you really are, of standing beside people who will fight for you the way you fight for them. The first kind of safety is a cage. The second is freedom. I chose freedom. I chose truth over comfort, love over fear, danger over boredom. I chose Luca, knowing precisely who he is and what his world demands. I chose this life, with all its complications and risks. I decided to be someone who acts instead of someone who hides, and I've never been happier. So here's what I want you to remember. Sometimes the biggest lie we tell is pretending to be less than we are, pretending to be safe, content, satisfied with a life that's slowly suffocating us. Sometimes you have to pretend to be someone braver, stronger, more fearless, just long enough to realize you're not pretending at all. That's who you were all along. The twin sister who sent me on that blind date thought she was protecting me. But what she actually did was save me, save us both. By forcing me to step into her shoes, she showed me I could walk in my own. By pushing me into danger, she taught me I was strong enough to survive it. By making me pretend to be someone else, she helped me discover who I really was. I pretended to be my twin sister on her blind date. That was until the Mafia boss called me by my real name, and I finally answered it. My name is Olivia Romano. I'm a strategist, a wife, a sister, a survivor. I live in a world most people don't even know exists, and I wouldn't change it for anything, because this is what freedom looks like. Messy, dangerous, complicated, and absolutely real. This is what it means to choose yourself, to refuse to live small, to stand up and say, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is the life I'm building with my own hands. No more pretending. No more hiding. No more being afraid of my own strength, just me. Finally, completely, unapologetically me. And if you're out there, living a life that feels too small, hiding behind someone else's expectations, pretending to be less than you are, I want you to know something. You're stronger than you think. Braver than you believe, capable of things you haven't even imagined yet. Sometimes all it takes is one moment of courage, one risk, one choice to stop pretending and start living. For me, it was walking into a rooftop bar wearing my sister's dress and her confidence. For you, it might be something completely different. But whatever it is, whatever that moment looks like for you, I hope you take it. I hope you choose the messy, complicated, terrifying truth over the comfortable lie. I hope you discover who you truly are when you stop being the person everyone expects you to be. I hope you find your Luca, whatever that means for you. The person who sees your authentic self and loves you for it. The person who doesn't ask you to be smaller, safer, or quieter. And I hope you find your sister, the person who, even in using you, even in putting you in danger, somehow sets you free. Because that's what love does. Real love. It doesn't keep you safe by keeping you small. It challenges you to grow, to become, to transform into the person you were always meant to be. 6 months ago, I was a librarian who'd never taken a real risk in her life. Today, I'm planning a strategy with a Mafia boss, analyzing criminal finances with my twin sister, and living a life I never could have imagined. Today, I'm finally, truly alive. And it all started with a lie. A lie that led me to the truth. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for walking with me through the fear, the danger, the transformation, and the love. If this story meant something to you, if you felt the courage it takes to stop pretending and start living, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me keep telling stories about people who refuse to live small, who demand more from life, who choose truth over comfort. Leave a comment and tell me, have you ever pretended to be someone else and discovered that's who you really were all along? Have you ever had a moment that changed everything? I read every comment, and I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, remember, the bravest thing you can do is stop pretending to be less than you are. Stop hiding your strength. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop waiting for permission to live the life you want. Choose yourself. Choose truth. Choose freedom. Even if it's messy. Even if it's dangerous. Even if it means everything changes. Especially if it means everything changes. Because on the other side of that change, that's where you'll find yourself, your real self. The one who's been waiting for you to be brave enough to let her out. I pretended to be my twin sister on her blind date, and I found out who I really was. Now it's your turn.